episode 114 of Below the Belt, in association with Boxing Social. They didn't post the pod for a few weeks, so I turned up at Rob's house. Rob said that he's a top man, and he runs Boxing Social. He's a top man, but I had to go and knock on his door the other day.
Well, rough him up a little bit.
Yeah, because I hadn't been on YouTube for a few weeks, and we were putting numbers on the board on their YouTube channel, and so I was like,
I mean, there's a lot of haters on that YouTube, but it's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah, that's what we want. YouTube is just full of savage fuckers, I
keeps you honest. Keeps you honest. When you're at a point where no one's chatting shit about you, then you need people to kind of say, you know what? Even though we think the podcast is amazing, it's good to have other people say, you're fucking shit, mate. Just keep going.
Yeah, you're shit cunt. Waste of space. That's what we need. You need people like that. Feeds me. Need the hate. It's lube. It's lube to me. It's
like the tears of a child German fan.
Yeah. Of a German child. Nice.
Yes. Gonna get cancelled.
Yep.
For what it's worth, the people who are saying lots of things about it, they're wrong. And laughing at a little girl crying is what happens in football. There's plenty of pictures of Spurs kids crying. I think Arsenal beat us 4-1 at home. And there's a picture of a Spurs fan, he's got like NHS glasses and a gap in his tooth, just crying his eyes out. And 10 years on, 12 years on, I think the meme's still there. So, laughing at kids crying is something that happens. When you're kind of going into like World War II territory, then no, you're wrong and don't do that.
Yeah, that's fair. We need to, our country has its issues, but we've got a lot of things to be proud of, and we should be proud of things that aren't World War II related, basically.
And there's loads. There's loads.
Exactly. That's my point. There's loads of stuff that we should be proud of, and it doesn't have to involve wars. As funny as it is, and we've all done it. Fuck me, we've all done it. We've all made war-related quips, like fuck me, especially in the football. God.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should perhaps grow out of that. Really. It's episode like 114, and I always used to say, it's the fucking Juan Marquez episode or this episode or that episode. But I was having a think earlier on as I was walking home, and I thought to myself, which of the modern day fighters do you think, like top fighters, not journeymen, do you think could perhaps get to 100 fights? I've got two answers. Do you want me to say mine while you think about it?
Yeah, go on, say yours.
So I had two thoughts. Manny Pacquiao, because he's probably close to 70 fights now. I think he's around 70 fights. So say he boxes for another like 3 years and boxes 12 times a year, then possibly Manny Pacquiao, but he won't. Where is he? He's not even on the list. How many fights has Manny Pacquiao had? 60, 62, 69, 71. He's had 71 fights. So I'd say Manny Pacquiao and Canelo Alvarez, because he might be like his hero, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., who boxed over 100 times. Those are my two.
Yeah.
Any idea perhaps who might?
I had a name that entered my head, right. And because you're in this COVID remote podcast bollocks, I actually looked someone up. Humberto Soto was someone who been around for a long time, and he has had 69 turn, he had 81 fights. Ooh. But he's not fought since 2019, so. Maybe that's they called it, but yeah, Humberto Soto. I think he fought at 135 for a long time and has been in and around that weight. He lost his last fight by KO, so I guess Jesse Vargas. That's someone who I thought about. Can't think of any. It's really weird that no one in the UK has that many fights. Growing up, I felt like everyone had like 40 wins, 12 losses, and 5 draws. It seems a bit more of a rarity now. And something I thought about. Again, was something that Johnny Nelson said, in that only 5% of boxers can have money to make a living out of it.
Yeah.
And I guess that for those 5%, it's about prolonging their career and not risking, and not like being Sugar Ray Robertson and staying fit by fighting. They've got to, prolong their careers. It's not like they're going to have 5 fights in a month when they can make enough off one fight. And it's probably helpful for the boxers, maybe not for fans of the fight game who are used to people having almost 100 fights as a normal thing. And that's the era that we're in now.
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
thing is with British fighters as well. Sorry, the thing is with the British fighters as well is it's like the modern thing seems to be building them up undefeated and then just like feeding them to a shit hot fighter in America, and then they get smashed to bits and then they retire. Like that just seems to be the thing. Like Billy Joe Saunders, kind of like case in point. He like gets built up, doesn't really fight anyone. He fought Andy Lee. Andy Lee was a good fighter, and Chris Eubank Jr. was a novice at the time. Fed him to Canelo, he gets smashed to fuck, and then he'll retire. And it just seems to be the thing now where they don't box. Or like Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith got like fed to like, I think it was Oscar Valdez, and then he got smashed, and then he just didn't box for ages, and now he's just retired, and happy retirement to him. But it just seems to be like,
I mean, us two haven't. So go on.
No.
Us two, we've got fairly normal office jobs, and when you think about retiring, do you have to think, what the fuck are they going to do with their lives? I mean, obviously there's people like, when Anthony Joshua retires, he won't have to work again because of his investments and he's a businessman. But when people like Stephen Smith and McDonald, the one who bought a new I think he's retired now. You think, well, how the fuck are they going to make the money for the rest of their lives? You think they're just like, there's no retirement, there's no pension in boxing, and I don't think either of those guys are millionaires.
No, they're not. And I don't know what, perhaps they've, made sound investments or like, bought dry cleaners and stuff like that around the area. And that's how they...
like Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Invest in local goons.
Waste disposal.
Promise you have. Yeah, waste disposal. Yeah, fried chicken shops. Like all that shit. Just fucking... Yeah. What was that one called in Breaking Bad? Is it El Polo Loco? Is that the one?
Yeah, that's what's his name? Oh god, Fring. That's Fring shop.
Yes.
I don't know. Did Walter White buy like a car washing thing, or did I imagine that?
Yes, he did. Yeah, and he had his missus was working in there.
Skylar. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it wasn't. Oscar Valdez that Stephen Smith fought. He fought Scott Quigg. He fought Jose Pedraza, our mate, Jose Pedraza, and Jason Sosa and Francisco Vargas. So he boxed actually a few good people, Stephen Smith. He had a pretty decent career. But you don't really see fighters like box over 100 times anymore. It's just kind of like such a rare thing. Actually, somebody who might get to a lot of fights, and this kind of tallies up with something else that I've put on the running order, is Gilberto Ramirez.
What, 175?
Yeah, so he started. He is a 168. He won the WBO version of the world title, 168. Remember, he washed Arthur Abraham 12 rounds to nil over in America, and then he kind of just potted about for ages and didn't really. He boxed Jesse Hart a couple of times, had a couple of close-ish fights with him, and now he's gone up to 175. And he signed with Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya. And Oscar De La Hoya, do you know what he said? Because he's losing his mind. He said, I'm gonna get him to 50-0 because he's 42-0. He goes, I'm gonna have him break Mayweather's record. So I think he's just gonna put him in with like 8 puddings. Like he's just gonna get him in with like loads of tramps, like box like 9 4-rounders just to get him past 50-0.
But the thing is, in this day and age, a lot of people had 100 fights in years gone by. They weren't great. But we don't have much visibility of them now because with Matchroom, all the people who fight on those cards are, good fighters. And to be fair, if you're fighting over 100 times in this day and age, you're not a good fighter because it shows that you've needed to have that many fights. And the best fight, Anthony Joshua is probably he's one of the best heavyweights this country have ever produced and will be for a long time. I don't know if he'll even get to 40 fights.
Yeah. Because what's he on? 26 or something now, Joshua? Something like
Sounds
that.
Sounds about.
Yeah, he's 24-1. So I was one away. Away. He's 24-1, and you're right. He probably won't get to 40 fights. He's 31. I don't see him. He's not going to need the money. When he next loses a fight, is he going to be able to motivate himself to go again? To pick himself up again. Like Ruiz, the first time, yes, it makes sense. He lost the fight. He never should have lost. But if he loses again to say a Fury and he can't see a way of beating Fury, then it might be tough for him to come again. So I think you're right. I don't think he would get to 40 fights. But saying that, Sugar Ray Leonard, I don't think he even boxed 40 fights. He didn't.
He had a hiatus, though, wasn't it, in his prime, from 83 to 87. I think he didn't fight. So, and then after that, he fought sporadically. Hearns had a lot of fights.
Yes, he did. Yeah. He boxed until 2006, Tommy Hearns.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I know. He boxed all the way up until cruiser. Fucking ridiculous the amount of fights he had.
Kept his power as well.
Yeah, he did. He kept his pop to win a world win world titles from welter to light heavy. Shows that he was a puncher. Yeah, Ray Leonard had 40 fights. He had 40 fights exactly. 36 3-1.
I'm surprised at that many.
Yeah, I thought it was less than 40, but I think perhaps I had the 36 in my head, and that's what confused me with that one. But yeah. But have you seen all this stuff about Oscar De La Hoya, and he's kind of been on a mad one lately?
No, what's he been doing now?
He's been on a mad one. So he was like, he had a bit of an Instagram comments war with Canelo. And Canelo just kind of,
get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah, it was one of those ones. Get the fuck out of here, puto.
Puto cabron.
But yeah, and then I saw an interview with De La Hoya, and he basically said that Canelo was on the level of Ricardo Mayorga.
I saw something about that. Oh my god.
Yeah, he said, he's just really a Mayorga. He's power, like he's got power and he's got pop. But once you get him in with a good boxer like Mayweather or myself, then he'll become undone. And I was thinking, oh my god, please make Canelo De La Hoya. Fuck me, I'd pay £100 to watch that.
The thing is that Canelo will probably go down as the greatest ever Mexican fighter. The only thing against him is the horse meat thing, and that was only a factor at the lower weights he was at because he was cut. It helps you cut weight, doesn't it? The stuff he was on.
Yes.
Clembuterol roll. Yeah, Clembuterol. So that helps you cut weight. So he was when he fought Matthew Hatton. What done was 154, and he was massive on the night. So.
Yeah,
those times, fair enough, it's in his right, but now he's fighting people naturally bigger than him. So that, I mean, I don't know if he's doing other drugs. Fuck knows. I mean,
yeah,
but the one he's being popped for, it's not really going to help him beat Koval. It's not going to help him beat Billy Joe Saunders or Callum Smith. So his legacy is clean from that point of view.
Yeah, I get your point. I can see why you're saying that, but it is a mark against him with the failed.
Absolutely,
he is a. Same as Tyson Fury and Billy Joe Saunders. He is a convicted drug cheat, for lack of a better way of putting it. He is. He failed a test. He took a ban. That makes him a convicted drug cheat. But as much as I love watching Canelo, like he's a brilliant fighter, love watching him. But he does. You're right. He does have that kind of asterisk against his name, and he always will. But yeah, it was just a weird. Oscar De La Hoya is proper on one. He's proper on one at the minute. He's coming back to fight soon, isn't he? De La Hoya. He's fighting an MMA fighter.
So fucking weird.
He is weird, isn't he? He's proper weird.
I've never ever warmed to him, and I think it's probably
why is that?
I think the reason is that when he was a face, I wasn't really into boxing, so he was the only US fighter to win a gold medal in '92. So. At that time, he was, the golden boy. He turned pro and had all those wins. I think he lost to Mosley and a few other people, but he fought everyone. Everyone who was anyone in his era, he fought them. But the image I have of him is just, just being a cunt. For want of a better term.
Yeah.
I mean, he fought Mayweather and he's proper salty about that. And I don't know, that's just the image I have of him.
Yeah, it's a shame, really, because you're right, he fought absolutely everybody, De La Hoya. And you can say perhaps Bernard Hopkins was like the only fighter to like outclass him just because he stopped him. But, the losses he had, Shane Mosley, 2 razor-thin decisions. Yeah. I'm sure Mayweather was a close decision. Pacquiao as well stopped him, but he was a skeleton.
Ruined him.
He never should have been in the ring that night. He should not have been in the ring that night. De La Hoya having an IV in the dressing room is just fucking dangerous. The fight shouldn't have been allowed to go ahead, to be honest. But it's just you are right. But then it's the Mayweather thing. I think Mayweather beat him and then never gave him the rematch, never gave him the opportunity to have the rematch. He kind of retired himself, Mayweather, and then came back and fought Marquez. And by then, De La Hoya had had a not a tough fight, but had not looked great against Steve Forbes, and then got smashed to bits by Pacquiao, and that was it. It was over for him, and I think he's just never got over that. That Mayweather never gave him that rematch. He kind of did a pretend retirement, because he didn't want to do it, he didn't want to have the rematch with him. But yeah, he's just got really weird, De La Hoya. It's a real shame. He needs to fucking sort himself out. To be honest, he's kind of lost his mind.
I think him being that way is the beauty of the sport, though, isn't it? It gives us something to talk about. And there's so many personalities in boxing. There's some people in boxing who have absolutely needed it for the lives that they've led. Then there's people like, I'm not going to say that De La Hoya is like middle class or anything, but there's some boxers who don't need to box, but they do it now. I mean, I think, what's his name? Pereira. He didn't need to box. He's meant to be fairly wealthy, but he boxed anyway. Yeah. He's one of the best to ever do it. That's the beauty. There's so many different varying stories. And then you get characters like De La Hoya, who's squeaky clean. And then there's a picture of him in fishnet tights and boxing gloves. I don't know if that's photoshopped or not. And he's got his troubles with drugs and alcohol. And, it's one of those where, did he do that because he was a golden boy and he's squeaky clean, or did he do that because he's always had those issues and golden boy was a mirage? And I guess in years from now, I'll probably get a 30 for 30 or a Last Dance type series of De La Hoya who reveals everything.
Yeah, it's similar to Pacquiao, really. Pacquiao's got this kind of image of this, he's a senator, he's a politician now, but he's had to be quite open about, kind of his dalliances with, I think he, cheated on his wife and stuff like that, and his wife had to forgive him and all that sort of stuff, but he had this image and it had to be maintained, and so all of that stuff kind of got swept away.
I mean, if I was responsible for any boxing in any way, I would always rail against that image. Do not do that image. Just don't fucking do it, please. Don't be squeaky clean, because boxers by their nature are, not literally killers, but you know what I mean? That's their thing, man. They smash people up.
Yeah, and I think in a way you're almost best off being the heel. Muhammad Ali was the heel at the start of his career. Obviously, Floyd Mayweather was the heel. Mike Tyson was the heel. Being the bad guy is probably more money in it, because you've got people that want to see you win and you've got the people that want to see you lose. And so, but they're both paying. And so, go on.
I mean, you mentioned Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, he was this squeaky clean guy, but he got up to a lot of shit himself, and
yes,
that's probably why I can't warm to him, because I feel that the image is given as insincere, and that's probably the hate that Anthony Joshua gets. But I don't feel Anthony Joshua shies away from the shit he got up to before boxing saved his life, so to speak. But I guess the Sugar Ray Leonard is that he was against Hagler, and Hagler was someone who blue collar, came up tough. And invites him to the ceremony, denies him the fight. 4 years on, he sees slippage, beats Hagler, and that's probably why I had to say Sugar Ray Leonard. But from thinking in my head, what he did was brilliant. I mean, he made money, and he got out with his faculties intact. But I like someone who's got a bit of reason to hate the world.
Yeah, and it's interesting you were saying about fighters, being middle class and perhaps not needing to do it. It makes me think of our mate Conor Benn.
And Eubank Jr. Crushing it.
And Eubank crushing it in the gym. You got to jerk your head forward when you say it, otherwise it's not the same.
I actually did. There's no cameras up. I actually did.
No, yeah, me too. Yeah, ask Tony.
Fucking love that video. It's amazing.
I don't even know who made that video. I wish I could credit them. I have no idea.
Undisputed boxing podcast.
Yeah, that's the first and last time we'll ever talk about another boxing podcast. But it was
favorably.
Fair play to them. Yeah, fair play to them. It was a really funny video. Every time I see Conor Benn now in his little do-rag, I just think of it in my head, crushing it.
His do-rag and that beard transplant.
Yeah, he is. It made me, because I never quite warmed to Conor Benn, but you know what, that made me quite like him. And it was nothing to do with him, that video. But it's just made me like him a little bit.
Same, because he loved it as well, to be fair.
Oh, good. It was funny. Talking to like guys that are kind of like the heels, Gervonta Davis, Tank. It was kind of difficult to find this fight because I don't know if it was shown over here on British TV, or if it was on. I tried to look for it on Saturday night to see if it was on, one of the apps or anything, and I just couldn't find it. So it's been really hard to see it and to really talk about it in depth. But Davis. I think it's fair to say, T, that Davis has carried his power up to junior welterweight.
Yeah, that's one of the fears we had. He must regret not being a little bit taller, like Skilo. But he carries the power up, and fighters of power will always be box office. We mentioned Tommy Hearns earlier on. He's always box office. There's fighters like Mayweather who went through the weights, but he wasn't smashing people up through the weights. So he had to be box office another way, and he successfully did that. People say Mayweather fights are boring, but you want to see him lose. And if Gervonta Davis, people want to see him lose, but he knocks people the fuck out. So he's attracting people who have that bloodlust, and he attracts people who think he's a bit of a bellend. So win-win.
And he's signed to the biggest money draw in the history of the sport, and a bit of bellend himself in Floyd Mayweather, So that can't hurt, because some of those people that have watched Floyd Mayweather for 10 years or whatever, and praying that he would lose, some of those fans may transfer over to Tank. They may start watching Tank hoping he would lose. But like Mayweather always says, well, it doesn't matter because they're still paying. As long as they pay the money for the pay-per-view or the ticket or whatever, then it doesn't really matter. But he's definitely carried his power. He's got himself another regular belt. He's the king of the regular belts. He's got 2 now. It just, the only thing, did you see the thing with Mayweather talking to him in the corner? Yeah,
I did see a little clip of that, because I think the premise of the video being shared, as to how I saw it, was that he's surrounded by yes men telling him that he's winning the fight. And Mayweather was like, fuck that shit, you're not winning. Get him out of there.
Yeah. Yes, that was pretty much what it was. He was like, look, I think it was round 11. I think it was before round 11, which is when the stoppage came. And he's like, look, the cards, the unofficial cards, i.e. the TV ones, have got you down. And they're like, what? He's like, look, do you want me to, I'm keeping it 100 with you. Like, I'm telling you the truth. They have got you down. So show me I think the words he used were, show me you're great. And I get the feeling that I think Tank probably fucking hates his guts. Like, I get the feeling that he doesn't like him. Just from like their body language and how they are with each other, it looks uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think Mayweather's like, no, I know you're great. So go and fucking show me you're great. Go and smash him in. And then he did. He went and did it. Have you noticed that? Does it look uncomfortable to you?
I think that dynamic is important, though, because it's savvy that he's kept him there, because you'd have thought that he'd have got rid of Mayweather if it was that bad. But I think he realizes there's 1% in Gervonta's mind that says, you know what, Mayweather, we've got to keep him around because of that fight. Because Gervonta Davis is not going to make more bank by dancing for 12 rounds and winning fights. He's going to make bank by smashing people up. And Pedraza, the fight we like to talk about, he smashed someone up, and again against Mario Barrios. So I think it's an odd couple, but Gervonta Davis has kept him since that fight, since before the Pedraza fight. So there's got to be something there that says in his mind that if I follow what this guy says, I'm going to be great. The only annoyance is that Mayweather doesn't feel like Mayweather is bringing the fighters that he's promoting with him. He promotes. There's 2 that I know of, which is Badu Jack, who's not really, someone who's put himself out there, and Gervonta Davis. And you would think that Mayweather would push Gervonta Davis a lot more. Gervonta Davis is well known amongst people like me and you who watch boxing, but the average casual doesn't know who Gervonta Davis is. And he fought in England, and we can tell our kids that we saw Gervonta Davis fight, but it feels like his profile isn't what it should be.
Yeah. He's obviously on pay-per-view now over in America. So perhaps in America he's getting kind of more exposure over there. But you don't see him like courtside at the basketball. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Adrian, to be fair, Adrian Broner was there when he lost, after he lost. But Adrian Broner's got a massive profile.
Yes, he does. Do you remember that meme of Adrian Broner looking all fat walking down the basketball with the popcorn in his hand?
I've not seen that one.
With it was nachos. Like, he was looking really fat, and he was at the basketball. This was years ago. He was at the basketball, and it's him walking down the steps with his nachos in his hand. It's like, fuck me, look how fat he is. You don't want to see Tank looking like that, but it'd be nice, like, see him courtside with Floyd, watching the basketball or whatever, just to get his kind of profile out there. But he's a pay-per-view fighter now. I think everybody's going to fight is going to be on pay-per-view. now in America at least. But
Mm.
but we need to sort it out over here really. Like hopefully Sky can sign PBC and we can have all the PBC fights be on Sky as well because they've got top.
That'd be good. That'd be good. That'd
Yeah,
be
because
really
they've just
good.
got Top Rank, haven't they? They've signed Top Rank and they had the Lomachenko fight, which we'll talk about in a second. So hopefully they can get PBC as well because it's really hard to find the PBC fights right now. But yeah, one thing that Mayweather said afterwards was we're not going to match him with guys for Teofimo Lopez or Josh Taylor or Oscar Valdez or Miguel Berchelt, like all these fighters that are in or around the weights that he works in. He's like, nah, we're not making other companies rich. We're going to keep everything in house, which is a shame, isn't it?
It's a shame, but it's a bit like what I said earlier on about the 100 fights thing. Is that people want to prolong their career and make money. That doesn't benefit me and you who wants to see Gervonta Davis tested, but it prolongs his career, it gives him generational wealth, and that makes sense. But then, again, maybe that might make the likes of Berchelt and other people who are not as well known go to PBC and make the fight. Maybe that's why Mayweather said it. Maybe he's forcing their hand. Maybe there's someone who's at another company who's at the end of their contract who sees Gervonta Davis at 140, think, I can make money by fighting this guy. I can make myself more well known. So there might be a bit of strategy behind that too.
That's a very good point, and that is something I thought myself. He's not saying we don't want to fight those guys. We don't want to fight Josh Taylor, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez. He's saying we want them to sign with us, and then we'll make the fights. We don't want to pay Bob Arum to make the fights. We want to have these guys come with us and make the fights. It's smart. It's smart because Tank Davis, like it or not, he is a big money draw in America now. He is a big
Absolutely
name.
is.
And actually, Leonard Ellerby, I don't know if you saw it the other day, they were talking about the Josh Taylor fight. And he said, like, Josh Taylor's the undisputed champion, but over here he's a nobody.
And to be fair, over here he's a nobody too. I mean, he's a big deal amongst boxing fans, but Sports Personality of the Year this year, he won't win it. He may not even be in the top 10. And he's an undisputed champion. One of, about 5 or 6 that the UK have ever had. And he won't win that. And the easiest thing to say, I don't know, go to Matchroom, blah, 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 blah. But I think is at a point now where he's got to make those decisions. I mean, he left McGuigan. He's with Davison now, isn't he? Have I got that wrong?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's
so he can make tough decisions. So he might have to make another tough one with whether he joins PBC to get the Gervonta Davis fight but I think Josh Taylor wants to fight Crawford to test himself. Does that fight happen? Who knows?
Because that's the thing right now. It's like if he boxes, he's got a mandatory in Jack Catterall, Josh Taylor. Is he really going to want to fight Jack Catterall? Really?
It'll be a homecoming if he does that.
Yeah, it's one defense.
Then there's a concern that he might overlook him and come unstuck.
Yeah, he might just. Yeah, you're right. You might slip and get clipped by a shot, and that's that kind of thing. It's unlikely. I think he'd batter Jack Catterall, but Jack Catterall's never boxed anyone as good as Josh Taylor, anywhere near. I'm not even sure he's boxed a world class opponent before, but it's I think you're right. I think Taylor's going to go and fight Crawford next. And I said as much on the last pod. I think he'll fight Terence Crawford, and then all the belts will be free, and then Tank Davis can perhaps fight for one of them. But you made a good point about Josh Taylor. His fight for the undisputed title was on the Fight app, the Fight TV app, which is on you can get on your phone. It's on a fucking app. Like it wasn't on Sky, it wasn't on BT, it wasn't even on Channel 5 or fucking Quest Red or whatever. It was on fucking an app. It sounded like a really shitty thing when Leonard Ellerby said that, when he said, but he's a nobody. But he's right. He is right.
He's absolutely right. His talent deserves to be in a bigger platform. And, look, I'm obviously not Scottish. I don't know the history of everything there, but this is support one of the two big clubs. He can't I think he's a Hibs fan. I might have that wrong. So he walked out Easter Road with the belts up, and obviously that'd be a symbol of pride to him because it's the team he supported. But if you support one of the two bigger clubs in the Champions League, I don't know, they play PSG in the Champions League, and he comes out before the game holding his belt up. There's a bit of an audience there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And he's not with Matchroom, who is a big dog in the UK. So It's difficult for him. He's 30 now. He's been pro. I mean, he won the Commonwealth Games in 2014, which was 7 years ago. So the next 18 months to 24 months, he's got to kind of think to himself, legacy and money and generational wealth. He has to be thinking that now because he's, I mean, I feel there might be boxers in the early 20th century who are better than Josh Taylor. I think Jimmy Wilder's the name I heard, and the more hardcore boxing people say. But he's easily the best Scottish fighter of the modern era. Maybe Ken Buchanan might be on that level. So he's really got to capitalise on that. Has to capitalise on that, make that money, and make that legacy.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully he does. What do you think Tank's going to do next? What weight do you think he's going to fight at?
Oh, I don't like. I mean, the lower weights are so little difference between the weights. I mean, if he fought at 135, I don't think he'd be boiling himself to a dangerous level like Roy Jones Jr. did.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he'd probably buy this time for Josh Taylor to vacate, I'd imagine, and then go from there.
And I think if he did, then I think the WBA would just move him up and make him super champion at 140. I think he'll be at lightweight next. I have no idea who's going to fight. Leonard Ellerby said that they did try to make the Ryan Garcia fight not too long ago. So maybe they'll revisit that. They'd have to speak to old Oscar about that and see if he wants to make it. Ryan Garcia said that he's going to come back and have a fight soon, which is really good news because the last time we heard from him was that he wasn't doing too good. It seems now that he says he's ready to come back. So maybe he can have a fight and then maybe they can make the Tank fight. We shall see.
I'd be amazed if they put him in the Tank in the next year. I'd be amazed because Ryan Garcia wants to fight everyone, but I think the people who promote him know that it's important to protect that brand. And if he fights Davis, I think he might get hurt badly.
Yeah, I think that the knockdown by Luke Campbell would have made them think, okay, let's slow this guy down a bit, but
not in a bait way. But yeah, just don't fight Davis.
Not
a puncher like that. Not a world level puncher as well.
Nah. Gervonta Davis is arguably a pound for pound top 10 fighter now. I don't see him getting knocked out, so you'd have to outpoint him. So it might be you need a Fury v Wilder situation where you're outboxing a puncher. That's the only way I can see Davis losing. I don't see him getting iced by anyone in and around his weight. So there we go. I think that's right. It'd be interesting to see.
And Garcia won't spark him, so there we are.
Yeah. True. I managed to quickly. The thing is, we were just talking about Sky being the top rank now, and so the first top rank show they had on Sky was the Vasily Lomachenko comeback. He's come back from his loss to Teofimo Lopez, and he boxed Masayoshi Nakatani, who'd boxed Teofimo Lopez as well, and he got cut. Lomachenko got cut in the opening round, clash of heads, but he managed to get the stoppage in round 9, which is a good win. Straight afterwards, the talk was all about the rematch with Teofimo Lopez. Is that next?
I don't want to see it.
You don't want to?
I haven't listened to the pod I recorded after the first Lopez fight, but that's not. I think Lomachenko's got no business at 135, and at his age and the amount of injuries he's had, I think some of those injuries are down to fighting people bigger than him who are leaning on him and putting pressure on his joints and limbs. And I don't know if he wins a rematch of Lopez next, but I'm not sure. I'm not clued up on the US status with COVID, if they're coming out of it or not. But maybe he looks in it like maybe first quarter of 2022, he gets a fight with Lopez. But I don't see him in a rematch not because Lopez is a better boxer than him, but I just think the size is just too much. Someone being bigger than you is one thing, but someone being bigger than you and skilled is just. I just think Lomachenko should just take the L, go to 130, clear the division out, and ride off into the sunset.
It's interesting because before the Lopez fight, he was talking about being undisputed at lightweight and then going back to 130. That was all
exactly.
Yeah. And that was all the talk. It was like, all right, I'm going to win this fight and then I'm going to go back to 130, and he was going to fight the winner of Burchell and Valdez. Because they were due to box, and obviously Valdez won that fight. But now it's like, because he's lost to Lopez, it's like, oh, I've got to rematch him, and I've got to win the rematch. But Lopez is 10 years younger than him, and like you said, he's bigger. He's much bigger. He's just had to postpone his mandatory against George Kambosos. Be interesting to see if COVID does anything to him. If it's like is it a kind of a sniffle and he gets over it, or is it a Povetkin COVID? Like,
or is it one of those things where he delayed the fight to fight Lomachenko next and pay the guy step aside money? Maybe there's that as well.
Possibly. But Kambosos is mandatory, and does it make sense to get the mandatory out of the way so then you can still be well, he's not even the question is, he's not really undisputed now because Haney's got the email title, and that makes him so it's interesting. It's interesting. You make a good point there. Does he just go, forget Kambosos, been off the IBF because the WBC's gone? It's like, should we just sort of just fight Lomachenko for the WBA and the WBO?
Because that fight builds a legacy, but what's in it for Lopez fighting Lomachenko again? Lomachenko, I mean, to be fair, I've obviously rubbished the rematch, but if Lomachenko wins that rematch, then he can retire then. So maybe he sees it that way. If Lomachenko wins a rematch of Lopez clearly and cleanly, then he doesn't need to fight again, does he? What's in it for him? Even if Lopez drops the belt to not fight Kambosos and fight Lomachenko next, and Lomachenko beats him, then what's Lomachenko got to prove? He's fought someone who I believe will be pound for pound. If he's not now, he will be. So maybe that's how Lomachenko sees it. It's a bit like something he said about Amir Khan. Was it Highlander or something? Where
correct, yeah.
He wants to fight the top guy to get all the rings type thing. So if Lomachenko beats Lopez, it's the equivalent of that.
Maybe that's what it is. He wants to just soak up all the powers. Like, he doesn't want to rebuild. He just wants to, no, you beat me, so I want to beat you back. It's the Highlander thing. It's like, you chopped my head off, you took all my powers, so I'm coming for your head, and I want to take all my powers back. I don't want to get my powers back a little bit at a time. I want everything. And then he wants to go to 130. But at 33, is he going back down in weight? I'm not sure he is. It's like,
well, if he's
go on.
Well, if he's going on the Lopez road, he can't be going back to 130. He's got to be thinking, you know what? I want this rematch, and if I win the rematch, I don't fight again. If I lose the rematch, I don't fight again. Maybe that's how he's looking at it, because he's had all his injuries. Same with Usyk. Usyk has had a lot of injuries, and if he beats AJ in September whenever they fight, then I don't know, maybe he'll stay champion. But I don't think Usyk has got many years left, and I feel the same about Lomachenko. I don't think he's got lots of years left in him fighting at elite level.
Yeah, like you said, both of them, Lomachenko and Usyk, are both a lot of wear and tear, a lot of amateur fights that people forget.
Yes,
Lomachenko's had close to 400 amateur fights.
It's mental.
That is a lot of wear and tear. Plus the training, all the training camps. And in the amateurs, you're boxing. Really close to each other. You're making weight, like really close to when you fight. Like it's a lot of wear and tear for that long of an amateur career. It's going to put a lot of wear and tear on your body, and it definitely has with both of them, with Lomachenko and Usyk, and all that Ukrainian folk dance they were doing as well to master their footwork must have put some wear and tear on it.
The thing of boxing,
so
the thing in boxing, we don't talk a lot about injuries in boxing. It's like in football, you have Dan Anderton and Usman Dembele who've had loads of injuries, and but in boxing, we don't talk a lot about injured fighters. They fight through injuries, and it's almost like a badge of honor that they fight through injuries. And these two are prime examples of people who do fight through injuries, and they're in their 30s and they can't go to the well again.
Yeah, that's it. It's a lot of kind of, like you said, wear and tear and all of that. And you're right. Fighters only ever really pull out of fights because they've broke a hand or broke a knuckle.
Yeah.
You never hear them say, "Oh, a knee strain." A muscle injury, as they like to say in football. It always weirds me out in football. It's like, oh, he's got a muscle injury. Well, it's like fucking 100 muscles. What muscle is it?
It's a team game. It's a team game, so it's inconsequential unless they're the proper talisman.
Yeah, true. So yeah, we'll see about Lomachenko. We'll see what happens with him. And just to wrap up, let's talk about DAZN and the whole lineup. That was good fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I don't often watch a lot of YouTube content, but I watched
Mhm.
the IFL video with Hearn at the when the signings were announced,
Mhm.
and it really, I mean, we don't talk warmly about Eddie Hearn a lot, but I really loved seeing his reaction to Mark Costello jumping in with the zone. He just seemed like, because Mark Costello is one of these guys who everyone loves. You
Mm.
know, he talks passionately about boxing. He has boxed in the past himself, and
Mm.
his commentary, I think, in round 3 of AJ v Ruiz,
Yeah.
his commentary when Froch got knocked down by Groves,
Mm.
those are iconic pieces of
Mm.
commentary. More so the Joshua round 3 v Ruiz. It's like some of those things are going to be on YouTube for centuries from now, whether YouTube exists centuries from now.
Yeah.
That commentary he did, and the fact that you've signed this guy to walk away from radio commentary
Yeah.
to TV commentary, which is completely different. It's a massive coup for him, and yeah, that's what stuck out to me was the Mark Costello signing over everyone else.
It's a proper hardcore boxing fan signing, isn't it? It's. Do you know what? I was about to say no one could moan about that.
Yeah,
And at the start of the pod, we were talking about YouTube comments and people being nasty on YouTube, right?
yeah,
And I clicked on the Mike Costello video to just watch his kind of reaction to it. And there was
I did say that.
yeah, he did it was like 5 minutes. It wasn't much, but he
Yeah.
was just kind of saying about, doing the commentary and stuff. And there was like 350 thumbs up on the on the video and 9 thumbs down, and I thought, who the fuck has voted down Mike Costello? Like, what sort of sick fuck?
They must do everything. They must thumb down everything. But
Yeah.
the thing is that Costello got a bad comment on YouTube, but you kind of wish he was your dad or your granddad. I mean, he's not always my granddad, but it makes you think. You know what? If I was in a circle who had any reach to him, and he didn't understand why people are saying bad things about, I'd love to explain the nuances of YouTube and social media comments to him because he deserves the best. He deserves the biggest platform, and I really hope that his own thing works out because I mean, obviously there's other names we will spoke about in the next few minutes, but Mark Costello is a name that unifies the entire BTB family, whether it be me, you, Alex, Flav, Zanon. We all love Costello, and the fact he's on a massive platform, not just the zone, but with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn has got name recognition. And it's just, I'm really happy for him, and I really, really hope this works out.
Me too. I think that's really well said. He deserves this, and he's 61 now. And I thought to myself, do you know what? If Eddie's come to him and cut him a massive check and said, "Come on, Mike, come and work with us and cover the biggest fights in the world," and he's thought, "Yeah, go on then." I really hope that's what's happened. He's got himself a nice fucking pension out of that because he does deserve it. And working for the BBC and doing the radio and doing the athletics, it's almost like public service in a way because you're working for a taxpayers funded organisation. And say what you like about the BBC, that's exactly what they are. They're almost like a public service. And so he deserves it, doesn't he? He deserves a golden handshake in a way.
I'd imagine that they would hold it open for him if it went tits up. But yeah, I mean, he deserves. Mate, even if he's the highest paid person of all the names mentioned, no one would begrudge him. No one, even Maya fucking Jam is probably the biggest name on that list in the UK anyway.
Yeah,
no one would begrudge him that money.
And him with Andy Lee on comms that's a sexy lineup, isn't it?
Oh mate, yeah, because we need that combination. I mean, we had Red Gutter Ridge in the 80s and Harry Carpenter, and since then, I mean, they've had Jim Watt and other names, but I feel that Mark Costello could be that guy for the next at least 10 years.
Yeah. You could see it for the next 5-10 years, Costello and Andy Lee together on comms. Just them two. They could be like the new Jim Lampley and Emmanuel Stewart, like legendary, a legendary partnership that we could see cover the biggest fights, Anthony Joshua fights, Canelo Alvarez, like covering them for the next 5-10 years. That would just be great. Obviously, Tony Berry's the analyst. Less said about that, the better, really.
Agree.
Yeah, we'll just skim right over that. But they've played a blinder, haven't they? Maya Jama and Laura Woods. Fucking hell, what a blinder he's played there, Eddie.
Absolutely. I mean, Maya Jama's got a lot of stick for not being a boxing, not knowing a lot about boxing per se, but I thought it cleared it up very well in the YouTube stuff he did with IFL with that. She's not there to know about the difference between a right hook and a jab. She's just someone who's a very, very accomplished presenter. I mean, we could all we want about her Instagram and how she looks, but she is shit hot at her job. She's a shit hot presenter, and obviously optics wise she'll look great, but she's a shit hot presenter. As is Laura Woods. Laura Woods is known as much for how she looks as her clapbacks on social media, so she'd be perfect. They're perfect as hosts, and it's a good coup. I mean, it's a shame that Kate Abdo and Wallhouse aren't part of it. Maybe they will be in the future, but
Yeah.
I think in terms of yin and yang, I know a lot about boxing. I mean, Laura Woods has worked with Matchroom in the past, so it's a good signing. Good signings, pair of them.
Yeah, and do you know what it is? It's like they've kept the purists happy with Mike Costello and Andy Lee. I'm happy just seeing those two. And then you've got Chris Lloyd and Darren Barker, and they kind of do their whole pre-fight, post-fight kind of.
Hearn fucking loves Chris Lloyd. Hearn really. I mean that interview he gave at IFL, he was really, really, bigging up Chris Lloyd, and that was nice to see.
He is really good, Chris Lloyd. He's really good. I remember he did I think he did the Inoue Donaire fight because it wasn't sexy. It was at 11 in the morning in Japan, and Adam Smith didn't fancy getting out of bed for it, and so Chris Lloyd did it, and he was fucking wicked. He was really good, and I was like, oh, I like this guy. He's pretty good. And then I think it was Sean Brown from Boxing. We used to do Boxing Monthlies with Boxing Social now. Said, Cal's like Chris Lloyd, like he knows his stuff, but he can do hosting as well. I was like, oh, I like Chris Lloyd now. He's compared me to him. That's it. Chris Lloyd's the best.
I think it's good that I mean, Hearn alluded to having more names, so having this as a first wave of names, I mean, I'm satisfied. I mean, Tony Bellew is I guess is in terms of us in the pod, well, me and you anyway, would be the Steve McManaman, the Robbie Savage. The Paul Merson, the hate figure, and the thing with Tony Bellew, as much as we're not fond of him, he's got a passion for the job, and if you're casual you don't watch much boxing and you see him there and you see the passion he has for the sport, something with Bellew is that he does have knowledge. I mean, he's not the most articulate, but this is boxing, man. He's a boxer. He's not going to be like Stephen fucking Fry, and having him on there will. People hating him and people loving him, because people love and hate him in equal measure with Tony Bellew. So there is that. Yeah,
that's interesting you say about Bellew and he is. You're exactly right. He's the Steve McManaman. He's the Robbie Savage. I think he's there because he's part of the Matchroom family, if you like, but also he is going to be that guy that he's going to be trending on the socials because he's going to have a mad score. Or he's going to say something mad, or he's going to scream something that he's going to be screaming at ringside and everyone's going to be able to hear him. He's going to be trending and he's going to get people's eyes and ears on the product because of how he is, whether you like him or you hate him, really.
What I wanted to ask you though, Cal, these guys are exclusive to the zone in terms of boxing. Do you think the rest of the signings will be exclusive?
The rest of them?
Well, he's alluded to more names. I'm going to assume that maybe some of the names he'll name in the future may not be exclusive in terms of boxing to the zone. Maybe there will be like, I will freelance here. Maybe someone like Barry Jones, for example. You'll have him.
Good point.
In and around the zone, but he can freelance to, I don't know, Box Nation content and Sky.
Yeah, because he's been doing Sky, hasn't he, Barry Jones, for the last few months or so. On the top rank card the other night, it was back to Adam Smith and Matthew Macklin again. I don't know if Andy Clark did the undercard or anything like that, because obviously Andy Clark's been around for a while, and I'm thinking back now to we were talking about Jim Lampley and everything else earlier on. It made me think to like the olden days where Jim Lampley would be with Harold Lederman and Roy Jones or Manuel Stewart, but then they would have it was Harold Lederman would do the scoring, and I wonder if they'll get someone in to do scoring, like maybe not a fighter, maybe a Tris Dixon. Maybe Andy Clark, maybe someone to do the just score fights. I think that might be an interesting addition to it. But yeah, if they'll be exclusive, maybe not, because these guys maybe these guys have they're the headline ones. Mike Costello is a big one, and then obviously Maya Jama and Laura Woods as well. They're big. Maybe these are, like you said, they're the exclusive guys, and then everybody else will just kind of jump in and out, like Barry Jones or Andy Clark or whoever. Not sure what's going on with either of those at the minute. So a lot to look forward to. It's going to be a bit of a quiet July. There's obviously the fight camp stuff at the end of the month, on the 31st, I think. But
how much are tickets?
£750 English.
Do you have any idea what comes of that? I mean, it's going to be at the fight camps. It's not like at a stadium or an arena where you're in your seat and that's it, and you buy beers and it's fight camp where you just kind of float around.
Yeah, it's like they call it like festival style hospitality. So I don't know if it's gonna be like Firefest and they're gonna get given
give you ham sandwiches on white bread.
Yeah,
no butter.
Yeah, shit little polystyrene boxes. Like you open it up and it's a fucking shit little ham sandwich with Jarl's face stamped on it. Like, yeah, fuck you. We took your £750, you mug.
Some shitty little tent that just blows away in like 5 miles per hour wind.
Yeah, fucking Capri Sun in a box for £750. It's got a Capri Sun and a little sticker on it, and Eddie's face saying, "Suck your mum through this straw."
Exactly. Gives you a sticker that has Eddie Hearn just saying "fuck you."
Yeah, all the influencers opening their little fucking packed lunch. We're putting £750 for this. It's just a picture of Eddie's face. Fuck you. Yeah, £750. Yeah, that's all I've seen. Is you get like they pick you up and drop you off. So you get like, yeah, they pick you up and drop you off. I don't know where from. I don't know if it's from a hotel. I imagine they don't pick you up from your house. So they pick you up from somewhere and drop you back off. Fucking, I don't know, local train station, local bus stop or whatever. And then, yeah, you get what they call festival style hospitality, as well as like your ringside seat. And yeah, I imagine it'll be kind of like everyone's just milling about. So you'll get to like mingle with, it's kind of like being ringside at the fights where, you know, you'll be sat there ringside at the fights and Carl Frampton will walk past and, you know, it's kind of like that, I guess, you know, but you're all just kind of milling about together in one thing. But fucking £750, no thanks. No thanks.
Probably lots of influencers there, isn't it? Who will just pay for it to just promote their brand.
Yeah. If do you know what? If they gave me a signed Conor Ben do-rag, then I would pay the £750.
Absolutely, and you guaranteed a video of him reenacting the video.
Yeah,
reenacting the undisputed clip thing that I did.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, both of you wearing your do-rags, they were going, I'm crushing it. Crushing it, Jim.
Is that Mark Tibbs? Fucking crushing it, mate.
Crushing it. Fucking sigh. All right, that'll do, mate.
Fair play.
All right. Thanks for that, bud. Take care.
No worries, man. Take care. Bye.